Hello and welcome to Learn with Indrjeet. This is another video in the series of videos titled Building a To-Do Management System Application in the latest .NET 8 framework from Microsoft. In the previous video, which was part 2 of the Add Edit To-Do using Modal Dialog, we completed the create part of the to-do item. If you haven't seen that video, please go ahead and watch that too. In this particular video, we'll be implementing edit on the to-do item using the same modal dialog, and it is going to be very informative. So watch the video till end, and if you find this video useful, give it a thumbs up. I am really very excited to dive in, but before we jump in, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest content. So let's get started. So here in Visual Studio, let's implement the edit functionality on the to-do page on top of the create functionality that we implemented using this modal pop-up and this JavaScript in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, please go ahead and watch that first. So let me show you what we want to implement. So on the to-dos page, let's go to the to-do list number 4 and add a new to-do to it. Okay. So that would be, let's create a new to-do. It will belong to the test list 4, and the to-do item would be check your messages and notifications. Let's take the due date to be on this Friday, 5:24 p.m. That's fine. Apply that, and let's set the reminder date to be 14th on the same time. And let's set the repeat frequency. Let's not set the repeat frequency. Let's mark it as important and save. Okay, so we have inside of this to-do list, test list 4 to-dos, we have another to-do which is check your messages and notifications. What we want here is we want a button for full edit which opens this dialog box with pre-filled values, and when we click save, this item should be edited. Okay, so let's go to the to-dos page and implement that button. So on the to-dos page, let's copy this button and put it inside of the tools div here, and let's try changing it. It should be a bit smaller button. That's fine. Let's pass in data-id the item.id like so. So we want to pass the id of the item, id of the to-do, to this data id attribute, and let it toggle the modal, and then let me just make it online. So like that, and let's change the tooltip to partial edit for the previous one, and the tooltip this time will be shown by this icon. So let me paste it here and mark it as full edit. Okay, so this will be a full edit button. Let us give it a ID of btn full edit. Okay, save that, and let's see how it looks like on the UI. Okay, so this is the button. Let's change the icon. So we just want to change this +2 edit, and let it refresh. Okay, so This is our full edit button. The previous one is partial edit. Now if we click on this button, it is opening up the model pop-up, but it is not filled up. Okay, so on this click, when this model pop-up is shown, we want to get the model DTO by ID, and then we'll initiate these properties, these fields. Okay, so let's do that in the JS file. So back to the JS file. In fact, let's write the server side function first. So F7 to go to the code behind, and let's write a server side function that gets the ID of the to do and returns the to do DTO. Okay, so public async task of I action result. Let's name it on get model, and it will have an integer ID passed into it. And let's take some of the code from here. So the API response we want to get, where API response will be todo.get by this ID. So this is supposed to return the DTO. Now if the API response is not null, and also API response dot status code is 200, then we want to initialize the model DTO property that is already there on this page. This one, we want to initialize it like this. Let's copy this line and then use it here. So it is only that we want to deserialize this to do DTO. Okay, so here we are saying if the API response is not null and the status code is 200, then if the data API response data property is not null, then deserialize it to do DTO, otherwise set it to null, and then return new JSON result model DTO passed into that function. Okay, so we want to return a JSON to the AJAX call that is calling it using this ID. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get hold of the ID that is there. So when this model pop-up is shown, we are just initializing the to-do list. Let's get hold of the ID that is coming from the event dot related target. See, event dot related target is the button that is responsible for invoking this model pop-up. That's this button, because we are toggling a model with this button and we want to read this attribute here. So the method is like this. So we want to read the ID from the data element of the related target. Okay, so if, let's check for this ID, if the type of the ID is not equal to undefined, then we want to do something else. We want to initiate all fields to their default values, just like we are doing in the create function. Okay, so if the type of ID is not undefined, that is the ID has a value, then we want to fetch the model DTO. Okay, so $.get, let's go ahead and fetch that. So first parameter would be the URL handler, because the handler called model is on the same page that this JavaScript is referred. that is this page. Okay, so the JavaScript is there and the handler is in its code behind file. Okay, so the handler would be model. Then we want to pass in ID as a parameter, and when this is done, we have the callback function which will have the data, and we want to do something with this data. So if data is there and data is not equal to record not found, as may be written from the API, we want to do something else. We will show the user a toaster. Toaster dot error with whatever there is in data, and if data is there, then we initialize the fields initialize all the fields, simply paste here, and let's start with hashtag ID, the ID field dot val. It should be what is coming from data dot ID property. So when the model is deserialized to a JSON and passed to this AJAX call, the property names now start with small letters. That is the JSON format. Okay, so let me duplicate it a few times, and the second thing that we want to initialize is created on. So dot created on will be data dot created on with a small c, and we want this created date to be in a specific format. So let's do not have a UTC, let's have a do date time dot now in this format. Okay, so let's make this H as capital. We'll see to it how it looks like there. So we want to use moment library, new date, let's have this date, and then let's format this date in a particular format that is desirable to the database. So dd thh mm and ss, like that. So we initiated the created on property. Now the next would be this item, so let's paste that, let's mark it as select. So this value should be coming from this property with a small t. Okay, next is to do item, so copy that. So to do item text box will have a value that is coming from this property, that's fine. Then we have the due date. So due date, the hidden one is the actual one, so let's copy this and let's duplicate this one for hidden due date. So this is the due date coming from this property in this format. Okay, but then due date can be null. So if this property is not equal to null, then only we want to set it. Okay, and for the one that is visible to the user, we want to have a 0 over here, and let's format it in user friendly format. So dd mmyy and hhmm and capital A. So AMPM format would be for the user. Otherwise let me just, if these are null, let me just copy up to here. So copy, and else we want to set them to empty strings. Okay, both of them like that. And whatever we have done for due date, we want to do for reminder date. So copy these, paste here, and replace wherever due is written, replace with reminder with capital D and capital R, and one more time for small d and small r, like so, in the selection only. Okay, so let's close this. So reminder date is also done. Now the next is, we have done due date, reminder date, next is repeat. So repeat is a select, and let's do like this, and whatever is there in this property, fine. And then we have the important and these checkboxes. Okay, important and completed. So hashtag important, because it is a checkbox, we want to use attribute called checked, and data dot important property would be, it may be true or a false. And then let's remove all these, duplicate this, and take completed from here so that typos can be avoided, and paste only with a small c. Okay, so we have initiated all the properties from the model that we get into this data element, and I think it should work. But what if the ID is undefined? In that case, let me just initiate these, all of these to their initial values. So here, paste it. So the data ID would be like 0. The created on will be coming from a simple date, the current date. The list value would be like empty. To do item would be empty. The due date, both of them would be empty. Reminder dates would be empty. And let's remove all this. Then repeat would be empty, and both of these would be false, like not checked, right? So when we click this button, we get that model pop-up. This model pop-up will be filled by this function. It will get the model from database and fill all the properties, and when we click save, the post function would be called, and we already have edit here. So it should work fine. Let's restart it and then check if edit is working or not. So on the to-dos page, let's go to the to-do list, and in the test list 4 we have our item, check your messages and notifications. It is marked as important. Let's get hold of it in the database also. So check your messages and notifications, the created date, the due date, and the reminder date is there. So it is showing as 5/24, but it should be a 17/24 in the database. Okay, so let's hit the full edit button, and we see our to-do values are all filled up, but only with the difference that it is showing AM Okay, so it has to be a HH type function, capital H. Okay, we'll correct the dates in a different video. So the list is there and the item is selected already. This is fine. Important is marked. Let's edit it and put in edit number 1 over here. And what if we click save? It will go to this. The form will be checked for validity. It will be submitted, and on post manage we have already written the edit call, so it should be edited. Let's go ahead and check that. So we click save. Yes, so this is edited and we have our edit. Now let's check whether something is changed or not. So the dates are there, that's okay, and here also, but the text is edited. Okay, now let's check for partial edit. So if we click partial edit, okay, fine, we have this text here, and this button should be hidden now. So let's go ahead and hide that, cancel that for the time being. And we have this btn full edit there. So this is the ID of this button. Let's hide it with JavaScript. So when we click edit, we are hiding the edit button. Let's hide the full edit button also. So full edit should also hide. One thing. Second is when we are cancelling, then we are showing the edit button. Let's show the full edit button also. So change this ID, and on save the page refreshes, delete, fine. Okay, so let's check that. If we click partial edit, yes, this button, the full edit button is now gone and it comes back. Okay, so partial edit is working fine, but when we are doing partial edits, let me just do that on this to do. When we click partial edit something and click save, what happens is it calls this edit function over here, see, and this edit only changes the to do item and sets rest of the properties to their null or default values. Let me just show you that. So see, this is the text. Currently we have the due date, reminder date, and important marked as true. Let me click on save for partial edit. Yes, we are sure. See, important is now gone, and in the database due date and reminder date are also gone. So this partial edit is setting all the properties to their default values except for the change in name. So we want to handle that. We will have to change this function so that partial edits can edit the name, but the rest of the properties are intact. Okay, we'll do that in the next video. So let me close these. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this video helpful and learned something, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button below. Your support means a lot to me. This encourages me to invest more time and create more valuable content for you. Remember to click the notification bell so you never miss an update on future videos. In the comment section below, please let me know what you learned from today's video. What was your favorite part? If you have any questions on today's topic or suggestions for future videos, Feel free to drop them in the comments. I read and respond to as many comments as I can. To watch more videos on the same topic, check out the playlist or visit the channel. Thank you so much for your time. Keep learning.